Hey everybody, and welcome to the Headless Hammerhead Guide to Comic Books. Today we'll be providing you with a comic book dictionary. It is the first in a three-part series that will review all of the lingo that you will encounter when dealing with comic books. Sequential art. Sequential art is any series of images that tell a story. So comic books, graphic novels, and even comic strips fall under the umbrella of sequential art. Bags and boards. These are the primary way to store and protect your comic books. It includes a cardboard backer and a bag. These can come in many sizes, many shapes, and different materials. We'll discuss this in a future video on the different types and which may be the best choice for you. Short boxes. This is the most common way to store and protect your comic books long term. They're stackable and they're also very good for transporting several comic books to different locations. These generally hold between 150 and 175 comics. Long boxes. Similar to short boxes, these can store comic books, usually about 300 comic books, and because they get so heavy, they're not typically easy to transport. They're more for stationary storage of your comics. Housing cabinets. These are available for short boxes and long boxes alike, and they're great for stacking because they allow easy access to the box itself, making it into a type of drawer. So you can stack these to any height and easily access your comics that way. Manga. Manga is a type of sequential art that comes from Japan. It has very specific rules on how to draw the characters. It also is traditionally in black and white, although it can be found in color. And traditionally, it is read from back to front and read from right to left. TPB, trades, or trade paperbacks. These are generally collections of comic books, usually about 5 comic books in each volume, and it contains a complete story arc. These have thick readable spines so that they can be placed on a bookshelf and be easily identified. They also usually contain bonus materials such as cover galleries and interviews with creators. Floppy or raw books. These are comic books that have not been professionally graded and can be softcover or cardstock. Graded or slabbed comics. These are comics that have been graded professionally by a professional grading company for collectibles, and they're generally encased in a hard plastic holder in an archival safe form. This particular one pictured here was graded by CGC, which is currently the top grading company in the world. The second largest grading company is this one pictured here, CBCS. They are currently the only grading company that will authenticate a signature from a creator without personally witnessing it. Another popular grading company is PGX. The holder is pictured here. The newest grading company is EGS, and they're known for creating custom labels that will match the comic book that you have submitted. LCS stands for Local Comic Shop. These come in all shapes and sizes and can be found all over the world. Generally, comic shops will sell more than just comics. They'll sell trade paperbacks and other collectibles such as statues and toys. This is a great place where you can find somebody who's knowledgeable that can help you navigate the wide world of comics and help you find whatever is right for you. Diamond. Diamond is the US's largest comics distributor, primarily for independent comics, although they are authorized wholesalers for Marvel and DC. They do produce and distribute exclusive figurines, toys, and even comic books as well. Lunar Distribution distributes primarily DC Comics, although they have gained several contracts with independent creators, such as Scout Comics. Penguin Random House primarily distributes Marvel and IDW, although they have gained some contracts for new independent publishers for this year. Marvel Comics is the largest publisher of comic books, and they're part of what are known as the Big Two, along with DC Comics. Marvel is known for characters like Spider-Man and the Avengers. And because they are owned by Disney, they also publish comic books such as Star Wars. The other half of the Big Two is DC Comics. They are known for names such as Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. The largest independent publisher is Image Comics, and they're known for very big titles such as Spawn, Lock and Key, among others. Dark Horse Comics is another independent publisher, and they're known for titles such as Hellboy, and up until recently, Predator and Alien. Dynamite Entertainment is known primarily for licensing a lot of popular titles. They currently publish Vampirella, Red Sonja, and recently they've gotten into some Disney titles such as Gargoyles and Darkwing Duck. Boom is known for owning the rights to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but they've recently found a lot of success with titles such as Something is Killing the Children, among others. IDW Publishing is known for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Godzilla books, as well as other popular titles. Variants. Variants are alternate covers for comic book issues. These can be identified by the name of the cover artist, or they can also be identified with a letter, cover A, cover B, as indicated here. Some comic books have up to 70 variants. Virgin variants. Virgin variants highlight the artwork on the cover, so it gets rid of all of the trade dress, which is the branding of the comic book title. As you see here, the comic book title and the publisher name. Usually it also gets rid of any barcodes or any other indicators, such as price. There are also exclusive variants, which could be exclusive to a store, to an influencer, to a convention. So exclusive variants are usually found only at the location or from that person that commissioned the variant, and they're usually pricier than standard open order variants. And whereas open order variants are comics that you can order as many as you'd like, usually at cover price, ratio variants, as you see here indicated with a 1:10, are variants that are available to a retailer only after they've ordered a certain number of comics. In this case, for every 10 copies of open order comics of this issue that the retailer orders, they can get one copy of that 1 in 10. And these can be in any ratio, so they could be a 1 in 5, 1 in 10, 1 in 25, 1 in 50, 1 in 100, up to 1 in 1,000 or even higher. And generally ratios are more expensive than open order variants. Sketch. So some variants are sketch variants. Back in the day when most art was done by hand with pencils and ink, the sketch would be the pencil work. This is true even on the inside credits of a comic book. When you look at the credits, it'll say pencils. That's the main artist who created the art for the comic. Inks or line art. You can have covers that are line art variants as well. And even on the inside credits, when you see inks, this is usually more relevant to older comics from the 80s, 90s, etc., where it was all done by hand. Once an artist did the sketch with pencil, usually they would bring in a different inker who would go over the art with a black ink pen or brush to do the main outlines of the art, preparing it for the colorist. Colors, just like it sounds, is when you add colors to the line art to make the final art piece. You do have generally cover artists that do covers exclusively. They'll do all of the inks and colors themselves, but there are some cover artists who only do inks, and they'll have somebody else do the colors. And for interior art, generally also you will have the artist who does the pencils and inks and then you have a colorist who will do the colors separately. Direct edition comics are ones that were made to be sold exclusively at comic shops and hobby shops. Generally, they used to not come with a barcode. Now they mostly do, but you would see where the barcode was, either a little picture or nothing at all, as you see on this one. Although many of the modern comics do have barcodes now, because so many retailers do use scanners and computers, you'll see that it does say direct sales or something similar above or below the barcode. Newsstand variants, these generally for older comics from the 80s and 90s especially, are the ones that had the barcode. These in the last few years have become very desirable, just because of the nature of a newsstand comic where it was handled by so many people while they look through the spinner racks. And these are the spinner racks here that gas stations, supermarkets, etc. used to display their comic books in. And generally these cause damage to the books, so to find a newsstand edition in good condition from those days is pretty rare. Canadian price variants. So you see here 3 copies of the same comic. The lower left corner where the barcode is looks different, and so does the upper right corner above the letterbox. There's 3 different prices here. The one on the right has the 60-cent price as well as a UK and Canadian price. This is because it's a direct edition where most comic shops did not scan, so the price had to be there for reference. The next one over to the left is the newsstand variant where it has just the US price along with the barcode on the bottom, and then the Canadian price variant on the far left with a different 75-cent Canadian price. These have become desirable as well because they tend to be more rare. Fewer copies of Canadian comics were printed during those years than American comics. Cracking a slab is breaking open the plastic holder for a graded comic, and this is usually done when you have a lower grade and you think that by cleaning or pressing the comic you might get a better grade, or some people want to restore the comic to a better condition and they'll crack open the slab to do so. Pressing is a process used to get wrinkles and dings, just minor damage off of a comic's cover that usually results in a better grade when you send it in for grading. Pressing is usually done with a heat press like this one. These apply pressure as well as heat to make the paper more receptive to the pressing. Generally, these machines can be very, very expensive, so people hire companies that specialize in pressing comic books. There is a process. It's not as simple as it looks to get good results. You can also run the risk of damaging the comic when you press it, so it is good to have a professional do it. The basic letter grading scale is used in common conversations with other collectors. Usually you'll see near mint, VF for very fine, fine, very good, G, good, fair, and poor. These all have plus and minus versions attached as well, so you can have a near mint plus, which is much better than an average near mint, and then a near mint minus, which is kind of borderline between a very fine plus and a near mint. To make things easier, the professional grading companies actually use a 10-point grading scale where you have anywhere from a 0 to a 10.0 and then everything in between there to designate the condition of the comic book. You'll often hear people in the industry talking about 9.8s or 9.6s. These are the 2 most common high grades. There are 9.9s and 10.0s, so those are extremely rare. So the most common, almost perfect condition comic book would be a 9.8, and that's the most desirable. A key is a comic book that features a significant event within its pages, usually the first appearance of a new character, a new costume for an established character, a death, a wedding, things like that. Although some keys are keys just because of the artist that draws the issue. There's some keys, for example, from Todd McFarlane, where he's done the cover and the issue itself is benign, but his cover is a classic cover that's been homaged many times, and therefore it makes it a key. So investors and speculators look for key comics because these are the ones that they're betting on going up in value over time. Now there are big keys and small keys, and that's determined by how important the new character or event that is introduced. There are also what are called blue chip keys, and these are keys that are consistently going up in value, such as Spider-Man's first appearance or Superman's first appearance or even the Joker. The most common cause for a comic book being identified as a key is either a cameo or first appearance of a new character. A cameo is when a character appears briefly or in shadows or just barely seeing their face, kind of obscured. Usually their name doesn't appear, just the character, or maybe their name is mentioned but the character himself does not appear. Like here you'll see Apocalypse in shadows, but he does say his name. This is not considered a first appearance until he is fully drawn on a panel and you can see him in full. Here we have Deadpool's first appearance inside of the comic book where he first appears, and as you can see, he appears in full. You can see every detail on the character, close up of the face. He does say his name in the pages of this issue as well. Now, with cameos and first appearances, there are some contentious instances, such as Wolverine's first appearance, Venom's first appearance, where the cameo issue, the character appears in full and even their names are said, but it's only on one panel, and the collecting community makes the next issue the official first appearance. So sometimes the market is what drives what indicates a first full appearance versus a cameo. And then we have secondary market, which is normally the sales channel is from publisher to distributor or wholesaler, and then to the retailer, and the retailer sells it to the consumer. Secondary market is once that's been completed and the comic is purchased from a retailer after it's first released, that consumer resells it to somebody else and it trades hands. Now this is called the secondary market. The secondary market is once the comic book is released and let's say it's at cover price $3.99, and because after reading it, people realize it is a key because there's a first appearance, now the price goes up. So on the secondary market, it is being sold for more, let's say $10, where retailers still sell it at the cover price. And so the most common places for secondary market sales are eBay, of course. You also have Mercari, which is another online marketplace. There's also auction sites like Drip, which offers fast back-to-back auctions, usually about a minute long. Another similar one, which is much larger than Drip, is Whatnot, which has become so popular they're doing their own Whatnot exclusive variants, and they have also started their own publishing company with Whatnot Publishing. So I hope you've learned something with this video. Please join us for part 2 of our Lingo Dictionary next week. Make sure that you also like and subscribe to this channel. This will help immensely. It will also help other people who are new to the hobby get the recommendation in their feed from YouTube, and you'll be part of the undercrowd. Also, I know it's not easy to retain everything we discussed here with just one view, so please feel free to review the video, watch it over and over again, and you can also reference all of the words that we introduced in this video in the description below. Also, please check out my website, dangerouswaterscomics.com. That's with an S at the end, dangerouswaterscomics.com, where you'll find some great deals on back issue comics, new comics, and pre-orders, as well as trade paperbacks and other collectibles. And if it's your first time ordering, you can use promo code FIRST, F-I-R-S-T, and enjoy 20% off. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope you got something out of it. I'll see you next week.